what is the joy? Tell me more about the joy of getting that message out of doodling. Like today, it was so, you really had that room buzzing. They were really there.
They were.
And
it was so cool.
What do you get from that?
I love seeing, it's a great question, Roy, because if I take it back to my family of origin, curiosity was not a quality that I experienced as the fabric of our lives.
Yeah.
My mom had a real, what I call now, a cognitive rigidity. So not in all areas. There were some areas where she was curious, but other areas where she was really dogmatic and not curious.
Yeah.
And not receptive to information. So truly, if I'm just being in the forensic psychological history, there is a satisfaction that comes from like the pain, like it's like easing the pain of people not being willing to learn.
Right.
So when I witness learning, it is medicinal for me. So it's a selfish endeavor in many ways, because I'm actually just taking care of my own self by supporting other people's learning processes.
Right.
Yeah, like it feels good.
So you're a doula for learning.
Yeah.
You're a doula for curiosity and creativity.
Yes.
Yeah.
For sure. And fortunately, and I think that's why I gravitated to these techniques, right? Because that's what they do, is they teach you how to think and how to inquire and how to wonder and how to work well with others so that you can solve problems. And I think that there was no way I wasn't going to gravitate to those things, because I was constantly trying to solve unsolvable problems when I was growing up.
Okay. It's almost an act of rebellion then to be curious. For
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And to encourage curiosity.
To encourage curiosity.
Because like there's certain environments, Roy, where curiosity is perceived as threatening.
Yeah.
Right?
I wouldn't know about those environments.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Has anyone ever seen them?
No.
And like where it's like, oh, you're questioning authority, or you're right?
Yeah.
And to me, it's like, no, man, if that is subversive, if curiosity is subversive, then so be it.
Yeah. But I like how you bring the wonder and the curiosity into a very linear and pragmatic way. And so you are learning, you are ticking the box of, I've gained a new skill here, or
Yes.
I've taught a new skill here.
Yes.
And people respond to that.
Totally.
It's both the, and I know people argue whether left brain, right brain is the thing.
It's not
but
a thing.
Yeah. It's not.
It's not particularly useful
but
anymore.
the balance of the analytical thought and the curiosity and creativity is
Yes.
there.
Yes.
In your workshop.
Yeah, I know, and that's
It's
the
there.
good thing. That's the reason why I made inroads in places where doodlers would not historically, because I knew that my audience required some kind of provable outcomes and some kind of practical like a productivity-driven outcomes. I was very present to that.
Yeah. In a college environment like
Yeah.
this, which is awesome that we could do, you could come in and start the doodle revolution here.
I couldn't have done it without you. No
well,
way. No chance.
I kind of made the way
Yeah, but that's
in a
a
John the
huge
Baptist
deal.
sense.
That's a huge
to,
deal.
to your messianic doodles. So how do you think that doodling, and I know you taught on this, but how do you think doodling can help in the education process?
Yeah.
It's collaboration, you're saying.
Well, and also just if you just start with basic visual note taking, for example. So one of the most immediate applications to classrooms, when they have done research on students that type to take notes, you might as well not bother. It's like there's no distillation, so they're not tracking in the sense of like trying to discern which kernels are relevant or interesting. They're just banging on a keyboard.
Oh.
Yeah. So the engagement and the retention is not good.
The second brain thing doesn't really kick in?
No.
Or that second mind,
No,
extended
because
mind?
they're not tracking. First of all, it's not tactile, right? So they're just like doing this. They're not like using visual language, using their hands. And sometimes when you're doodling, you can twirl your hair. You can move yourself in ways that you cannot do when you are just like sitting there typing. And you're also, what they do is they get in the trap of like as fast as you can.
Yeah.
And then they just have a jumble of words on a page that have no structure, no relationship with each other, no color, no hierarchies.
Yeah.
And it's just crazy town. And the research has demonstrated that typing to take notes is not useful. So the most immediate application is visual note taking. Period. The end. And I wrote about that in the Doodle Revolution, about this woman who could not pass organic chemistry, and then eventually as a professor, when she was a student, and as a professor, she integrated visual note taking in her organic chemistry class, and her students like would consistently perform, even though it's one of the hardest subjects to master.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's like, that's just an obvious add. And that's individual work. That's not even group work.
Yeah.
Right? And then when you start talking about group work, then as you experience, that's a whole other ballgame.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So then you're unpacking systems and processes. You're drawing your career path. You're looking at customer journeys. I mean, you can do whatever you want to atomize reality,
Yeah.
so that you have a better handle on it and a grasp and an understanding. It is, if I were to design the world, that would be like my first decree. You know, other than kindness.
Atomize.
Yeah, right.
You would just say.
What's the Harry Potter, like, what would it be?
Oh.
Atomare.
Okay.
Comilalare. I went
You
Italian.
would manifest the atomization and make that happen.
Yes, I would
That's-
make a command.
Have you encountered a lot of flack from the idea of visual thinking? Do you get a lot of negative feedback?
I get a lot of skeptics, for sure. And I don't care, Roy. It's kind of, I mean, and I say that with just utter callousness, like, I don't give two shits. Because that's like saying, they're scared, period. There's no evidence, like, everything people throw at me over the years is just fear-based.
Yeah.
It's not, it's the
Or it's
fear-
ignorance-based. They
fear
don't
of the-
really understand.
Exactly. It's fear of the
process.
unknown. And I'm like, and I am empathic to that, and I understand that mindset because I had it too.
Yeah.
So I totally get it. But at a certain point, I'm like, it's not my job to humor your terror. It's your job to come to the place that I'm inviting you to. That's your job.
What's another thing you would do if you were to design a classroom? Like your decree of atomization, what would be like if you were a professor or had your own college?
Yes.
Would you design a physical classroom differently than most are designed?
I mean, I would probably make it circular.
You'd make it a circular room?
Yeah. And I would make it more like an impact network. So it's like you have like circular little hub, like almost like cells, like working cells that can distribute information more fluidly inside of the space. And then I would give people all of the tools that they need to unlock their thinking processes. And that's everything from like tactile to auditory to visual to kinesthetic.
So play foam and
Absolutely.
markers and
Yes.
whatever, yeah.
Yeah, and like we used to, we have done experimentations with designing innovation spaces, and there's a lot of wonderful books around that. There's one called Making Space in particular, but you have to mobilize the literacy inside of those spaces. So the spaces are conducive to behavior, but you also have to teach people how to function inside of those spaces.
And would that be a newer way for a professor, for a faculty?
Yeah.
Rather than being information folks, they would be facilitators of that?
professors?
Yeah, for faculty.
I think the students should do it. Like, I think the professors should figure out how to ennoble the students so that they can do it, and the professors become learners. I know, it's so
radical.
I know, but what's cool is that you've probably heard of project-based learning, right?
Yeah,
PBL.
yeah.
But to me, it's more like let the teacher's expertise become available after they have prompted some kind of inquiry with the students, given them some kind of visual path to explore those things, and then let the students come back with questions around their experience, and then the professor's expertise becomes available after they've had an embodied experience around the questions. Does that make sense?
Nice.
Right?
So teaching is a great way of learning. It becomes this expansive
Yes.
thing.
So that's why a lot of times when I go do public speaking and they'll present me as an expert, I really quickly let people know, like, I don't want to be considered an expert. I want to be considered a constant learner. I want to learn from you, and I want to make mistakes, and I don't want to be on a pedestal.
Yeah.
Because there's only one way to go from
It's
there.
not the Sunni Brown fan club can't happen. Like,
Right.
yeah.
Well, it's like
Right.
you can't. There's nowhere to go but down. And then also, it's not like it's not playful and joyful anymore. It's me reinforcing my own ideas about reality, which should always be contestable.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. No, and I like the term facilitator because you're facilitating brainstorms and creativity in a way that surprises people.
Yeah, and that's like a role that I can play, and I like to play that role because unleashes that which is competent and good in others. And I don't have to be special to do that.
Well, thank you for coming here. Thank you for
Oh, it's
for
awesome.
hosting some talks and some workshops.
Yeah,
So,
it was super good. Finally to meet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and to be on William & Mary campus and to do that,
Yeah, it
that
was like
awesome.
a coup. I have to, hats
We're gonna
off to
take
you.
over. We're gonna doodles all around in the library from now on.
It's got to start somewhere.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
definitely.
You are a revolutionary, indeed.
I'm getting there. But thank you for your time.
Yes,
and
Roy, it was really
creativity.
good to be with you.